Lately I've been doing a few camera comparisons, a little deviation from my normal cycling related content, but I do this from time to time just to check out kind of what's out there, the newest phones, the newest cameras, whether it's a GoPro or a Sony ZV-1 or the new Google Pixel 6 Pro that I'm filming with right now. So I'm going to compare in this video the Google Pixel 6 Pro to the Sony ZV-1. Mobile phones are getting so good now for photos and videos that I often do these tests to decide, do I need a dedicated camera like the Sony ZV-1, which I really like. Like, I use this for a lot of my YouTube videos. In this comparison, I'm going to be shooting in 4K 30. I'm using the back camera of the Google Pixel. Now, the thing about the Sony, the one downside for filming, especially in situations like this where I'm kind of walking around holding the camera out in front of me, is the crop in 4K is pretty tight. So you got to hold the thing like way out in front. And so I've noticed with the Google Pixel 6 Pro that it's a better field of view. I can go to a little bit wider field of view. I really don't know how the image quality is going to be when I do that. I know I'm getting some pretty harsh shadows behind me, so I'm going to stop and I'm going to turn this way. So yeah, I'm going to walk again with the Sony ZV-1 along the same path that I'm walking. But before I do that, I'm going to switch to the wide field of view on the Pixel to see if the image quality is worse. So that's the 0.7 times zoom. I'm holding the phone at the same distance that I was before. And by the way, I'm using a lav mic right now, the Rode SmartLav Plus. I'll also test the built-in microphones of both of these. So let's switch over to the Sony. I'm going to go back and I'm going to walk down the same path, just check the stabilization, check the image quality. And I am going to do some photo comparisons too, just a few, because again, I like to see if the Pixel 6 Pro, if the photos are actually better than the Sony, because it's got a lot of processing that goes on. So all right, let's switch over to the Sony. Okay, so now over to the Sony ZV-1. Again, I'm shooting 4K 30 using a lav mic. The nice thing about the Sony is the flip out screen. So I can totally see myself, frame the shot. With the Google Pixel 6 Pro and any smartphone for that matter, I would always use the back camera if I'm trying to get some good video. Like the front camera is okay, it's 4K, but the sensor's not as big. You're not gonna get near the image quality that you can get from the back camera. In fact, for this comparison, I may do just a little sample, but most of it I'm gonna shoot from the back camera. So let's go ahead and test the built-in microphone of both of these, starting off with the Sony. All right, so this is the built-in microphone of the Sony ZV-1. I would imagine it's going to be good. And the Pixel actually is really good too. The Sony comes with a little furry screen I can put on top. I'm not using that right now. It's not really that windy, and I don't have one for the Pixel, so I want to keep this pretty fair. All right, so that's the built-in microphone of the Sony. Let's switch over to the Google Pixel 6 Pro. And this is the built-in microphone of the Google Pixel 6 Pro. Like I said, I can't frame the shot. I just have to kind of trust that I'm holding the phone at the right angle. I can look at the lens and get a pretty good idea. I'm also really curious about that 0.7 times zoom, if the quality's worse. If it's not, that's a great option for vlogging because you don't have to worry about getting yourself in the shot as much. All right, that's the built-in microphone test. Now I'm gonna hold these side by side and try to do a comparison there. Again, the crop's gonna be a lot tighter with the Sony, but let's give it a shot. Okay, so again, I'm holding these side by side. You know, the crop on the Sony, it's not terrible, but if you really want to show your surroundings, it's pretty tight. So what I'm going to do, even though right now I'm using the 1 times zoom on the Pixel, the nice thing about the Pixel is that I can get a wider crop, or wider shot, I should say. And by the way, I'm still using the built-in microphones because I only have one lav mic with me, so I've got to use the built-in microphone. So I'm going to switch over to the 0.7 times zoom on the Pixel to finish up this side-by-side test. Okay, so again, holding the cameras at the same distance. Got the Sony, got the Pixel, side-by-side test. Also checking out the stabilization. The Pixel, I've noticed, has really good image stabilization. Now you cannot use the active and keep it in 4K. I think it has to be 1080p. But the standard stabilization on the Pixel is really good. Okay, so that's the side-by-side test. Before I go do the indoor lighting test, I'm gonna do a few photos out here while I'm outside. I'll also do a few indoor photos, and then we'll finish this test up with doing some low lighting situations. All right, now looking at the photos, comparing them between these two, starting off with the Pixel. I think the colors look a little bit more even with the Pixel. Switching over here to the Sony, it's a little blown out. Some of the leaves are a little blown out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch in, and the detail is not great on either of these, but the berries, look at the berries on the Pixel, and now look at the berries when I zoom in on the ZV-1, and I think the Pixel nailed the colors of those better. Look at the dynamic range in the sky from the Pixel photo here. The colors are just more vibrant, and you're going to see that looking here at the Sony. The colors are not as vibrant in the sky or the trees comparing it to the Pixel. Same here on this photo. The colors just look more vibrant on the Pixel. I also like that background blur on the Pixel. I didn't use the artificial background blur. It's just because it was a wider aperture. All right, now for this photo, this is in bright sunlight, and the colors on the Pixel on my face look a little cartoonish in my opinion. Now, the same position, but I'm using the artificial background blur. In other words, the portrait mode of the Pixel. I mean, this is a really good shot. Even though the colors here on the Sony look more natural, they're a little less vibrant, but the lighting was so good on this one. I prefer the Sony one. It just looks more like a real camera, in my opinion. Now, this is a landscape shot, and you're going to see the colors looking a lot more vibrant in the Pixel photo as compared to this photo of the Sony ZV-1. I mean, they're both usable, they're both good, but again, the Pixel colors are more vibrant. Now what I'm going to do, this is the 4x zoom. So this is optical zoom on the Pixel. This is not digital zoom, and it's amazing how close you can get compared to now this photo with the Sony. And so this is the max zoom, optical zoom that you can do with the Sony. I don't like digital. I'm going to go back to the Pixel photo here just so you can see the difference. It's amazing what you can do with the smartphone zoom lens. This photo, starting off with the Pixel, I think both look almost identical. The colors look so similar between these two photos. They both look really good. All right, now some indoor photos. This weird looking butler guy. The Pixel photo was a little bit brighter, and now the Sony darkens it up a little bit. I really can't tell you which one looks more natural as far as the wood color. I'd probably say the Sony, but they both look really good. The Pixel photo is a little bit darker for this one, but look at the background outside compared to here, the Sony. The Sony was more blown out, although the foreground was brighter. This photo from the Pixel looks like a DSLR quality. It's so good. Switching over to the Sony, not much difference, but you know, I was just amazed at how good that Pixel photo looked. The Pixel absolutely nailed this photo. Look at the detail in my dog's face. I mean, that's just a really, really good shot from the Pixel. And now switching over to the photo from the Sony. It's a good photo, but the Pixel is better in my opinion for that one. This one from the Pixel turned out really good. The Pixel doesn't always nail the edges, but it did a good job on this one, and the lighting was really good. Now this Sony photo, I had the aperture all the way open as far as it could go. I think it was at about 2.4 for that one, but the background blur of the Pixel was definitely more prominent. Here's another photo that the Pixel absolutely nailed. The background blur, the colors, and everything. Same photo on the Sony ZV-1. I mean, it's a great photo, but I like the background blur of the Pixel. Here's another one. Same situation. The background blur, the clarity of the Pixel was just amazing on that photo. And now the photo from the Sony looks really good, really clear. The background blur, again, is not quite as prominent as the Pixel. Here's one where I actually prefer the way the rocks look on the Pixel photo here versus the Sony photo here. They're both good photos, both really good clarity, but again, I prefer the way the rocks looked on the Pixel photo. Here's my stabilization test when I was running with both cameras in my hands, and you're going to see that the stabilization of the Pixel was absolutely amazing. However, because I was going in and out of shadows, you can see kind of some light pulsating in the shadows, I guess some artifacting, even though the stabilization was much better on the Pixel. So now for my low light test, I had to bribe my dog with a treat to get her up on the couch. So this is room lighting. I'm going to go to ultra low lighting. I had to crank up the ISO to 3200, apertures at 1.8, and the shutter speeds at 1/50. So now we're going to switch over to the Pixel before we go to ultra low light. Okay, so now for the Pixel, same lighting situation, Same dog, different treat. I'll give you more in a minute. Okay, so that is the room lighting. Now I'm going to switch off that light and we're going to see how the lighting is with ultra low light. Okay, so now very low light, probably not a situation I would ever use, but I just want to see how both of these do. All right, I'll give you one more piece of treat there, Georgia. Hold on. No, hold on. Now for the Sony, I had to really crank up the ISO to 6400, and I'm at 1/30th shutter speed and f1.8. Here you go. You've been a good photo dog. Good job. So that's the ultra low light test. So that's going to wrap up my comparison of the Sony ZV-1 to the Google Pixel 6 Pro. And in this final scene, I'll switch between the two so we can get an idea of the image quality when there's more overcast. So a few things that I want to mention. Now I went back and started to do some editing on this video, and the dynamic range of the Pixel was pretty amazing. In fact, it almost looked surreal, like it looked a little cartoonish. I noticed that the colors on my face when the sun was really bright looked more natural with the Sony ZV-1, but the background was a little bit more blown out because the Pixel just does this processing where the dynamic range is just pretty incredible. Also, the image stabilization of the Google Pixel 6 Pro was pretty remarkable. Like, there's almost no comparison. It's getting up there with the GoPro Hero 10 is what I have now. So I was really impressed with the image stabilization of the Pixel. Something else that I want to mention is with the Sony ZV-1, you can do a lot more with aperture, ISO, shutter speed. So it's geared more towards someone who can take advantage of that. Now you can put it on automatic and just point and shoot. Like I've said in some of my other camera comparisons, is the advantage of having a dedicated camera is you save battery and storage space from your phone. But the phone, you've always got it with you, and I was really impressed with the video quality, the photo quality of the Google Pixel. I think you're going to get more realistic photos, more realistic video. When I say realistic, I mean what we're accustomed to with DSLRs, and just being able to really tailor the shot to get what you want. The video quality of the ZV-1 is pretty amazing, but the Pixel, I really like being able to crop out, making it that 0.7 times zoom. And I've used the back camera for this entire comparison. I'm going to switch over to the front camera so you can see that the quality is not as good from the front camera. So while this front camera is super convenient to be able to frame myself in the shot, the quality is just not near as good. So if I'm doing a real comparison of another camera, then I would use the back camera. So the bottom line is, I think both are excellent, and it's just going to depend on the situation, and really only you can decide which one's going to work best for you. So let me know in the comments below what you think about the comparison of the video quality, of the photo quality. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. That's it for this video. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.